She told me he's helping me heal at our barbecue. Then I did this that night. While we were at the family gathering, Ethan, who I guess is me now, got reduced to a side character. She turned to someone and casually said, "He's just helping me get through a rough patch." My real love story kicks off next year. Her Uncle Greg let out a laugh, not one of shock, but like he found it genuinely funny, like he already knew the punchline. I just kept flipping the burgers, pretending I hadn't heard a thing. But before I dive into all that, let me say this. I've noticed the channel's been slowing down a bit lately. If you're here and you like these stories, hitting that subscribe button is the easiest way to show support. It's fast, it's free, and it really helps keep this community growing strong. Later that night, I packed my things and called the moving company to schedule a pickup for everything I had bought. By the time she came back, the apartment was practically empty, bare walls, no furniture, nothing but echoes. I first met Maya 2 years ago at this gritty little dive bar in town. I was there just catching a basketball game with some of my buddies, while she was across the room with her girlfriend, celebrating someone's promotion. Our eyes locked across the crowded bar, and I swear, it felt like a scene ripped right out of a cheesy romantic comedy. We ended up talking the whole night, traded numbers before we left, and a week later, we were officially a couple. Maya had this magnetic personality, fun, outgoing, and she seemed really into me from the jump. She laughed at all my corny jokes, asked about my hobbies like she actually cared, and for the first time in a long while, I felt like I truly mattered to someone. About 6 months in, we made the decision to move in together. Her lease was coming to an end, and financially, it just made sense. I already had a decent one-bedroom apartment I'd been living in for about 3 years. We had a pretty clear setup. I'd take care of the rent, while she would handle groceries and utilities. It felt fair, considering the rent was a lot more than those two combined. And before she even moved in, I had already furnished the whole place myself. I mean everything: sofa, TV, bed, dining set, kitchen supplies, even the little stuff like the shower curtain. Maya showed up with her clothes, some throw pillows, and a couple of plants. The first year together went pretty smoothly. Sure, we had our little arguments like any couple does, but nothing serious or deal-breaking. Then things shifted when Maya lost her job. She'd been working in marketing for a startup, but it collapsed, and just like that, she was out of work. Suddenly, she couldn't pay for her part of the bills. I told her not to stress about it. I'd handle everything until she found something new. It stretched me thin, but I managed to make it work. 3 months passed. Maya sent out a few applications here and there, but if I'm being honest, she didn't look very driven to land anything. Most days, she'd just sit around binge-watching shows or scrolling endlessly through her phone. Whenever I tried to gently bring up the topic of her job search, she'd get defensive real fast. She'd say things like, "Do you even realize how hard it is right now?" Or, "I'm not just going to settle for some random job." I backed off after a while. I didn't want to push her when she was clearly already feeling low. So instead, I picked up extra shifts at the warehouse where I worked as a supervisor. The overtime helped keep the bills paid, but it left me completely wiped. Still, I kept telling myself it was only temporary. That's what partners are supposed to do, right? Show up for each other when times get rough. Fast forward to just last month, Maya finally got a job offer from a marketing agency. It wasn't her dream gig, but it was in her field and the salary was solid. I was genuinely happy for her. We went out for a nice dinner to celebrate, and I started thinking maybe we were finally turning a corner. Then came the family barbecue. Maya's folks lived about an hour from us, and we usually made the trip to see them once a month or so. Her parents were polite enough, but they carried themselves with this quiet judgment. They never said it outright, but I always had the sense they thought Maya was too good to be with a guy working in a warehouse. Her extended family was a mixed crowd, some were easy to get along with, others not so much. This particular barbecue was hosted at her Uncle Greg's place. He had this massive backyard with a built-in grill and a pool, really nice setup. There were around 20 family members there, along with a few family friends. I offered to run the grill, mostly to avoid awkward chit-chat and give myself something to do. So I was at the grill, flipping burgers, when Maya walked over with her cousin Tara and Tara's new boyfriend. They were chatting about relationships, and Tara casually asked how things were going between me and Maya. What Maya said next is still burned into my brain. She waved her hand like it was no big deal and said, "Oh, he's just helping me heal." My real love story starts next year. Uncle Greg, who was standing nearby grabbing a beer, laughed, not because he was surprised, but like he was in on some kind of private joke. Tara looked uncomfortable and quickly changed the topic. They walked off, leaving me there with a spatula in hand, feeling like I'd just taken a hard punch to the stomach. For the rest of the barbecue, I just kept flipping burgers, going through the motions like a robot. I smiled when it seemed necessary, made small talk, and pretended I hadn't just heard my girlfriend of 2 years basically say I was nothing more than a temporary fix until something better came along. On the drive home, Maya rambled on about family gossip, completely unaware, or maybe totally aware and just not caring, that my whole world had just shattered. I stayed quiet, nodding occasionally, while my mind was spinning a million miles an hour. We got home around 9 at night, and Maya said she was wiped out from being in the sun all day, so she was heading straight to the shower and then to bed. I told her I'd just watch some TV for a while. As soon as I heard the bathroom door shut and the shower start running, I got to work. I didn't want to argue, didn't want tears, excuses, or gaslighting. All I wanted was to get out. I packed a duffel bag with some clothes and essentials, then grabbed my important documents from the filing cabinet. After that, I took photos of every single thing I'd bought in the apartment, making a detailed list on my phone. Then I went online and booked a moving company for 11 a.m. the next day, a Monday, knowing Maya would be at her new job by then. I texted my buddy Sean and asked if I could crash at his place for a few days. He sent back a thumbs-up emoji, no questions asked. Once I had Sean's okay, I reserved a storage unit nearby that offered 24-hour access and had a special deal for the first month, perfect for my situation. Before leaving, I wrote a short note and left it on the kitchen counter. Maya, I heard what you said at the barbecue. I'm not anyone's placeholder or healing project. I've arranged movers to pick up my stuff tomorrow. Rent is paid through the end of the month, so you have some time to figure out your next steps. Since only my name is on the lease, you'll need to talk to the landlord about either taking it over or finding a new place. Don't call me Caleb. Then I left quietly, shutting the door softly behind me that night at Sean's. I turned off my phone to avoid the flood of calls and texts I knew would come once Maya read my note. I lay on Sean's couch, staring at the ceiling, feeling a strange mix of pain, anger, and an odd kind of relief, like I'd finally set down a heavy burden I'd been carrying for far too long. The next day, I called in sick to work and sent an email to my boss explaining I was dealing with a personal emergency and might need a couple more days off. He was understanding, knowing I rarely missed work and had plenty of sick days saved up. At 11 a.m., I met the movers at the apartment as planned. Maya was already gone, her car nowhere to be seen in the parking spot she usually took. I let the movers in and pointed out what needed to go, using my inventory list as a guide: couch, bed, dining table, all my kitchen stuff, books, gaming console, everything that was mine. I'd hired a 3-person crew specifically because I knew there was a lot to move, and some pieces, like the bed frame and dining table, needed to be taken apart first. I brought folders with receipts for all the big purchases I'd made before Maya moved in, just in case anyone questioned what belonged to whom later on. Everything was clearly documented as mine. Most of it went straight to the storage unit I'd rented the night before, but I kept some essentials with me at Sean's place. By 3:30 p.m., the movers were done, longer than I expected, almost 4.5 hours, but they worked efficiently given the amount of stuff. I did one last walkthrough of the apartment. It looked empty, almost unrecognizable. Just a few decorative pillows scattered on the floor where the couch had been, a couple of potted plants sitting on the windowsill, and Maya's clothes still hanging in the closet. I left my tea sitting on the counter right next to the note, which hadn't been touched. I also dropped off a copy of both the tea and the note at my landlord's office, officially letting them know that while I'd paid rent through the end of the month, I wouldn't be renewing the lease. Then, just like that, I was gone for good. Around 5:30 p.m., I turned my phone back on and it immediately blew up with notifications, calls, texts, voicemails, all from Maya. I didn't bother reading or listening to any of them. I just blocked her number right away. Almost as soon as I blocked her, messages started flooding in on social media, at first pleading, then angry, then pleading again. Caleb, please call me. I can explain. What the hell? You took everything. This is so childish. It was just a joke. Please come back. I didn't mean it. I blocked her on every social media platform, and then the next wave came from her friends. They called me selfish, immature, cruel, and said I'd left poor Maya with nothing but the clothes on her back. None of that was true, and I didn't leave without warning. I blocked them too. Finally, her sister called. I almost didn't answer, but decided to hear her out. What you did was cold, she said bluntly. I get it. What Maya said was messed up. She's been telling her friends things like that for months. That hit me like another punch to the gut, months of her saying things like that while I was working overtime to keep us afloat. She's staying with our parents for now, her sister went on. They're helping her buy some basic furniture. She'll be okay. Good to hear, I replied, my voice flat. For what it's worth, I think she really does care about you. She's just lost. Maybe that's not my problem anymore. No, I guess it's not, she said, then paused. Take care, Caleb. That was 2 weeks ago. I'm still crashing at Sean's, but I'm actively looking for my own place now. I've heard through mutual friends that Maya's parents bought her a new couch and bed, and she's back in the apartment, her apartment now. After 2 days off, I went back to work, having sorted out my immediate living situation at Sean's. My boss was supportive, especially after I gave a quick explanation about the sudden breakup and unexpected move. I threw myself into work, picking up extra shifts again, not because I needed the money this time, but because staying busy kept my mind from wandering. Some people have told me I went too far, that taking everything was cruel. But here's how I see it. I paid for all of it. Every single item came with receipts and documentation showing they were bought before Maya moved in, or with my money alone during our time together. More importantly, I paid all the rent for months while she contributed nothing, not just financially, but emotionally too. I was burning myself out trying to support someone who saw me as nothing more than a stepping stone to something better. I won't pretend I'm not hurt. I am. But I'm also angry. And that anger has stopped me from calling her, from giving in to those moments when I miss the good times. Because here's the truth. I deserve better than to be someone's healing project. I deserve to be someone's destination. Update. 3 months later. A lot has happened since I last checked in, so here's where I'm at. About a month ago, I found my own place, a small studio, but all mine. I set it up exactly how I wanted, got most of my stuff out of storage, sold a few things that didn't fit, and bought some new furniture for a fresh start. As for Maya, she tried reaching out a few more times after my first post, even showed up at my workplace once, but security didn't let her in. Eventually, she got the message and stopped trying. Then, about a month ago, I ran into her cousin Tara at a coffee shop. She told me Maya had moved back in with her parents and was subletting the apartment. Apparently, even with her new job, she couldn't afford the rent on her own. No surprise there. She tells everyone you abandoned her, Tara said. I was there. I heard what she said at the barbecue too. Tara went on to explain that Maya has this pattern of using people as emotional crutches, then tossing them aside once she feels healed or ready to move on. She's done it with friends, ex-boyfriends, even jobs. Her family enables it, Tara admitted, especially her parents. They bail her out every single time. That's why Uncle Greg laughed when he heard what Maya said at the barbecue. He's seen this movie before. Tara also filled me in on Maya's new job, which wasn't quite what I'd thought. It's an entry-level position with some potential to grow, but the starting salary was pretty modest. With her spotty money management and rent that's about double what she could realistically afford on that paycheck, there was just no way she could keep up with the apartment on her own. I appreciated Tara's honesty. It didn't exactly make me feel better about everything, but it did confirm I'd made the right call. 2 weeks after that coffee shop run-in, I got a text from an unknown number. It was Maya, writing from a new phone. I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but I need to say this. I'm sorry. What I said was horrible and you didn't deserve it. I've been doing a lot of thinking and talking to a therapist, and I realize now how much I took you for granted. I miss you. I miss us. Is there any chance we could talk? I stared at that message for a long time. Part of me wanted to ignore it completely. Another part wanted to respond with anger. In the end, I chose honesty. Maya, I appreciate the apology, but it's too late. What you said at the barbecue wasn't a slip-up or a bad joke. It was a glimpse of how you really saw me, as temporary, less than, and not what you truly wanted. I deserve better than that. I hope therapy helps you, and I hope your real love story works out. But it won't be with me. She replied almost immediately. I understand. I really am sorry. For what it's worth, you were always too good for me. I just couldn't see it. I didn't respond. There was nothing left to say. Last week, I got promoted at work. I'm now a logistics manager, with better hours and better pay. I've started dating again, casually for now. Nothing serious, just easing back into it. As for the whole, taking everything thing, no regrets. Some lessons need to be hard to stick. Maya learned her words and actions have consequences. And I learned I need to value myself more and stop ignoring red flags. In a weird way, I'm grateful for that barbecue moment. If I hadn't overheard Maya's comment, I might have wasted years with someone who saw me as nothing more than a pit stop on her way to something better. Instead, I'm on my own journey now. And for the first time in a long time, I'm genuinely excited to see where it leads.